here with the one, the only, the former champ and now commentator Sergio Mora. Sergio, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, it's all good, man. Listen, any friend of Lukey Boxing is a friend of mine, man. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's just start with, what do you think of this crazy city of mine, brother?
What, the city?
Yeah.
I love New York, man. I love New York. It's grimy, it's big, a lot of ethnicities, food's great. There's always something to do, it never sleeps. Man, I love it here. Now boxing's welcome here. I mean, Times Square boxing, who would have thunk?
I always like to ask people what's different about a New York fight crowd, because I've been to fights like you, I've been to fights all over the place, and I feel like we have a certain je ne sais quoi, you know?
Yeah, you guys are outspoken, you know what you're talking about. You guys love a good fight, recognize a good fight. Get the fuck out of here.
You got a go-to place for a slice when you're out here?
I've been eating everything, man. I'm a foodie. I've been eating everything. Great restaurants. Yesterday we went to a restaurant in Grand Central Station. It was called the Grand Brazzi or something like that. Unbelievable fish. Oh yeah, no, I'm a foodie. All
right, well, I'm glad you've been enjoying the time here, Sergio. As you can see from the Radio City awning, we're here today at the kickoff presser for Canelo and Scull. Sergio, can you just start by giving me some more information on this fight? When is it happening? Is it also happening in New York? What is the
no. Listen, I don't want to get in trouble, but yeah, I'm gonna give you the information I know. Ryan Garcia's fighting here on Friday. Canelo's fighting on Saturday. I'm calling both those fights. So I'm gonna go from New York to Riyadh back to back. I mean, that's how His Excellency Turki Ali Sheikh wants it, man. I mean, he's doing amazing things in boxing. I mean, in the middle of Times Square, and then we're picking up and going straight to Riyadh season in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, back-to-back unbelievable events for Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better.
It's crazy the travel you commentators.
I love it, man.
I was doing a podcast with Corey Erdman the other day, and he was like, I went from Montreal, got no sleep, got to Puerto Rico at 6 p.m., started doing Matias right when I got there.
Now, listen, man, we love it. I love it. We're fortunate to do what we do. I mean, me, Corey, Todd, Mannix, and everyone else that's in this business. We're just passionate about it, man. I love it. I've done back-to-back fights from New York Saturday, and we did one in Carson on Sunday, or Friday, Saturday. It was back-to-back. It was great. Only 2 hours sleep.
So let's talk about where we met yesterday or 2 days ago, which was the kickoff presser for this big triple header that's going to be in Times Square. I got to start by asking, everyone's real sealed lips right now, but can you give me a little sense of what the production on this is going to be? It's so hard to imagine an event of that magnitude happening in Times Square with the foot traffic, the vehicle traffic. Do you have any insight for us?
Not much, and they're playing it close to the vest, right? So I'm not just saying that, but I know it's only going to be a few hundred people, and most of them are going to be dignitaries. So it's going to be people that belong there, and then of course on the outside looking in, spectators, whoever's walking there, whoever's a fan, and whoever's going to be watching from the buildings, from the windows. I mean, it's crazy.
That was the thing I thought of, was like, well, there's plenty of people up above it.
Oh man, it's going to be like if you're watching a game at the Yankee Stadium, people that live above those buildings. But yeah, man, it's unbelievable. It really is. And I've already visited the location, and you think about it, you're looking around like, man, I just hope it doesn't rain.
Oh,
and if it doesn't rain, it's going to be the most unbelievable thing I've probably ever seen.
Yeah. Well, we got 3 tremendous matchups on that card. The opening one is Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza. A lot to take in at that presser yesterday, right? Teo is quite the character.
Love Teo.
He calls himself the showman. And Barboza, kind of the opposite, right? He's like a pro's pro. He's had to stay at the top of his game for the last 5 years, waiting for an opportunity. Now he's getting them and he's winning. But what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Beware a hungry man, a hungry fighter. And Barboza's been waiting in the wing for such a long time, waiting for this opportunity. And he's been conquering the odds, man. I mean, every time he's set up to have a tough fighter to lose, I mean, he comes through. He's the only undefeated fighter on this card out of all the names. Barboza is a champion. He's undefeated, and he has all the hunger and confidence in the world. But Teofimo's the best at 140. I say it all the time. When that kid has his head on straight, no one could beat Teofimo. That dude's a monster. So it just depends what Teofimo you're going to get, come fight night.
Do you play into the idea of the guy he's portraying? And
yeah, I do.
That's gonna.
Who? Teofimo?
Yeah.
The dude had no shirt on, and we're all freezing, and it was like nothing. Mentally, man, I don't know, man. He's twisted, in a good way. So it's the type of guy that you won't bet against. Teofimo's an intelligent guy, a wild guy, and a wild card. But like I said, when he has his head on right, he's the best at 140.
Do you think he's got his head on right now?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't think Teofimo could tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the beauty of I'm not calling him a genius, but that's the beauty of guys that are artistic, you know, and creative, and they're nuts. You know, you can never rely on them, like the Andy Warhols of the world. He's like a boxing Andy Warhol type. He's just a nut.
Well, in a similar vein, Ryan Garcia once kind of filled that role himself. A much more subdued Ryan Garcia than we've been used to, at least in the last year or two. What are your thoughts on that matchup? It feels like a matchup of unanswered questions with Rolly having taken some losses and Ryan having the inactivity, having the drug test, unfortunately, and making his comeback.
I think they really sat Ryan Garcia down, and someone had to sit him down and really let him know that what he was doing was foolish and that it's going to cost him his career, maybe his health, maybe his life, maybe he's lost a lot that we don't know about, maybe he's had some issues outside the ring that he's kept quiet. Whatever happened, life kicked him in the ass, and it was about time, because that kid was burning the candle on both ends.
It just felt like it was heading in a rough direction. You know?
He was burning the candle on both ends, and believe me, man, every fighter is self-destructive, you know, including myself. There's a point where you just got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, when's enough, you know? We spend a lifetime in a living getting our ass whooped, and we're doing it outside the ring. It's only a matter of time for you to end up in a dark side.
It seems, at least aesthetically, that he's in more of a fighter's mindset right now. Have you spoken to him, and do you get that feeling from him that he's a serious athlete again?
I'm not buying it until I see it inside the ring. You know, the ring talks. Making weight, his performance, his camp, how he looks, how he treats the media. You know, all that's gonna tell. You know, I'm not gonna listen to whatever he says right now, because it could all change, man. That kid, I mean, look at how he sold his last fight. It was insane. It was marketing 101 at its best. But then the bad stuff came out. If he would have been a clean fighter, if he wouldn't have popped dirty with the PEDs or whatever it was, offspring, man, that would have been like a perfect chef's kiss of how he sold the fight, how he performed, everything. But
not only are you so talented that with all this dysfunction you win this fight clearly,
then I would have said continue doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because he did everything right. But because it didn't end up right, he was headed in the wrong direction, and yeah, he really needs to rehabilitate his image.
It feels like the sleeper on the card that's probably going to get the least attention is Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez. I feel like it's a good matchup. I feel like Ramirez has always been, again, like Barbosa, a pro's pro. But like he said in the presser, cutting himself down to 140. There's been things over the years that have maybe added some mileage to him. But Devin's got a lot of questions.
Listen, man, I don't think that's a sleeper. I think the sleeper is Barbosa and Teofimo. I think Ramirez and Devin Haney is probably a quiet, interesting fight. But that one's the one that might go the distance, right? That one's the one that might be competitive. That one might be a little chess match. The experience that Ramirez brings to the table, it's his last chance, but he hasn't looked good in his last couple of performances, Ramirez. And Teofimo, I mean, this is a big stage. You can bet that he's going to be on. So I'm curious to see what Haney we get. And at 144, I believe they're fighting, 145.
It's a catch weight.
I mean, if he wasn't knocking guys out at lightweight, I mean, at 144, it's going to be a different story as well. So it's interesting.
And it felt like in that first time that he moved up from 135 to 140 and he took on Prograis, that we saw a different version of him. It felt like his game was more fluid than it had ever been. Do you expect to see that at 147?
That's one of the best I've seen Devin Haney. How he one-sidedly, it was a one-sided fight against Prograis. And if we get that Prograis against Ryan Garcia, he's back. But right now, he has a lot of critics, a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, he got dropped several times in a close fight. It was a close competitive fight, but people don't remember the scorecards. They remember him on the canvas. They remember the memes. They remember all that. So he has to make a statement. And if he can do it with a knockout, Devin Haney is back.
Ironically, I'm pretty sure I scored the fight the second time I watched it. I'm pretty sure I scored it a draw. Give me your thoughts on Canelo Scull real quick. Again, probably not the matchup that everyone's calling for from Canelo, but at the same time, he's taking on the other titleist in his weight for an undisputed fight. Nothing to hate on with that.
No, man, there's nothing to hate on that. I mean, he has a belt. He's undefeated. He brings those two things to the table. It's going to look great on his resume. Yes, Canelo can be facing other fighters. We want him to face Benavidez. We want him to, face the monsters. We want him to maybe fight Bivol again. We want those names. But William Scull does have a title, and he's a mandatory, and it makes him undisputed again by beating Scull. So why not? a stay busy fight in between Bud to Bud Crawford, I'm totally fine with that.
Do you think at any point we get to see Canelo fight the best at 175? Is that something that you think happens before?
Yeah, man. I think the pride, the Mexican pride and machismo of a Canelo Alvarez, you know, whenever you tell him he can't do something, I think the machismo kicks in and he'll do it. Even though he's more of a businessman than a hardcore, you know, bloodthirsty fighter now, he's still a fighter. He's still a champion. He's still a pound for pound top fighter. So, you know, you put his back against the wall and you test his pride, he's gonna want to fight all the best.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that watching Bivol have that performance against Beterbiev is making him want to take that fight now more.
You never know. That's actually I didn't think of that. You're right.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, those are all things. Those are all things that can actually goad Canelo into taking that Bivol fight once again.
Well, Sergio, I've enjoyed your career both as a fighter and as a commentator since the days of the Contender. What's the highlight of your commentary career so far? I would love to know which of that kind of stands out for you as the prestige moment.
My Jim Lampley, it happened moment was Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz. That fight was magic, man. And seeing the first Mexican heavyweight champion in Madison Square Garden, it felt like I was watching Mexican Rocky movie. So that one right there will always top it.
Yeah, and that one felt like the anything's possible moment.
It was si se puede all the way.
Si se puede. Well, muchas gracias, campeón.
Qué chingón.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Sergio.
My man, take care.